Call this meeting to order. Everyone stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a quick prayer. Lisa, will you lead us in a prayer real quick?
Heavenly Father, thank you for allowing us to come together this evening. Just bless us all as we communicate with one another and make wise decisions, Lord, and just be able to communicate with everyone with great wisdom. Thank you for everything you've allowed us. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Has everyone read last month's minutes?
Yes.
Can I get a motion to accept last month's minutes?
A motion, we accept last month's minutes.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Welcome visitors. Do we have anyone? Mr. Plaster?
Yes, I'm Jeff Plaster. I'm the Executive Director of the Eastern Indiana Regional Planning Commission. And I talked to Shane a couple of weeks ago about coming in to talk to you just briefly. I brought a couple of folks with me. Steve Higginbotham is the Director of Planning for Wayne County, and Sarah Mitchell is with the Economic Development Corporation. There is an opportunity, and we're very close to maybe being too late for this year, but the Office of Community and Rural Affairs has a program called Regional Stellar. Did you all get one? Okay. That Regional Stellar is a designation that allows communities to be eligible to apply for grants outside of the regular competitive grant cycle. It is a lengthy process to put together an application, and it starts with a letter of interest, which is due by April the 3rd, so just about 30 days from now. So it's possible. It'll require a lot of work on all of your parts if you decide you'd like to be involved. If you've got just a few minutes, because I think this might be your last meeting before April the 3rd. So if you can give us a few minutes to talk a little bit about the process, we'd be happy to do that and see whether you have some interest either to try to be a part of an application for this year, or to take some time and apply for the same process for next year. So, Sarah, do you want to take a few minutes now? The handout that I gave you is a list of the answers to frequently asked questions about the program. So, an opportunity to take a look at that at your leisure.
So I'll give a little bit of background on myself. I used to work with the city of Richmond, and as part of that I went through the Stellar Project in 2013. And so as part of that they changed from going between a small community and a large community and sorting things out to more of a regional focus. We applied in 2018 as part of the regional development, and we had a 5-county region. We felt that was really going to all encompass what they were looking for. Turns out they're really looking for some small communities within one county. So as part of this development plan, they also have added new actors to it. From the 2013, we just had 3 players. It was Okra, Indiana Housing and Community Development Authority, and NDOT. So they've added some other players along with some extra funding capabilities. So as you go down the list that you have in front of you, Okra was a player when we applied in 2013 with Richmond, and at that time there was a cap of about $3 million. That cap has now gone up to $8 million. In addition to the $8 million that is for the Stellar community, there'll be $1 million available to split between those that are finalists. So as we think about applying as a county and Wayne County and the communities within it, we would look at splitting that allotment of $1 million between 3 to 4, let's say, communities, so that they can work towards that regional development plan. So there may be a smaller project that you're still able to do as a finalist, even if you don't make it into the full award. So Indiana Housing and Community Development Authority, they also have funding available in the amount of $13.6 million. $12 million of that is for low-income housing tax credit project. And what that is for low to mod income apartment type, assisted living, senior living is what Richmond ended up with the YMCA there downtown. And when you're looking at that amount of money, you're talking about maybe 40 to 60 apartment or townhouse type units. NDOT has a funding availability of $2 million, and that would be for some streetscape improvements, if you're connecting the trail, bike lanes, those sort of things. Also going back to the Indiana Housing and Community Development Authority, there's also dollars available for owner-occupied rehabilitation. So if someone lives in their home and they want to fix it up, there's dollars set aside for that, up to $25,000 per person. There's also a player with the Indiana Office of Tourism Development and Department of Natural Resources. Although those are not giving you funding allotments, they're giving you assistance where you can plan for funding through those organizations. The Indiana State Department of Health is offering a $75,000 allotment for a program. And one of the programs, for example, we applied in 2018 was for Healthy Families. So providing some supportive services for families that would help them and growing into more of a stronger bond. Indiana Arts Commission is another organization that is offering more support than funding. And the Indiana Bond Bank is offering up to $4 million for bonding capabilities through a small town or community. So those are the opportunities that are there. On that second page of this handout is, well, I guess the back side of it is kind of what we're asking from you before April the 3rd. And that would be some sort of a commitment by signature of the highest elected official to the project. We would also ask that you have a list of community leaders that we could reach out to fill out a survey that will be sponsored by Ball State. In addition to that, we would need a list of projects that you would see as eligible for the program. So as we're looking at a regional focus, if you have a low-income housing tax credit per se, or you have 10 homes you'd like to see be done in your area for owner-occupied rehabilitation, those are the type of projects that we could put forward for the seller application. And then we would also look at any projects you have underway. So projects that may be going on now that you're wrapping up, those are being taken into consideration in addition to any proposed projects you have in the future that may be complementary to the project that you're pushing forward as part of this plan. So that's really kind of the information we're looking for as we're moving forward. But similar to the handout that Jeff gave you, Okra has prepared this handout as well. It talks about some of the program details, what they're looking for, and additional resources that will be part of the planning process. So once we have the plan, or excuse me, the letter of interest in on April the 3rd, we'll be moving forward into an application for a development plan that would hopefully be the plan that would win that designation. And that designation will come after the application is due, I think sometime in September.
End of September.
September 29th, I think. So did I leave anything out, or?
I think she touched on a number of things now. Steve has put together some information based on your comprehensive plan and some thoughts on what kind of projects you might be able to put forward.
Several years ago, I worked with the town council here to put together a new comprehensive plan for your community. And in that comprehensive plan, which is one of the requirements for this application, you have to have a comprehensive plan that is less than seven years old, which yours is. We did it in 2014, and in that plan lays out, I'll give you a copy of it if you hadn't already seen it. In your plan are things that Sarah touched on. For example, you have one of your goals in here was to enhance your Main Street, which is actually not Main Street, but US 27 that goes through there, and tie that in with the Levi Coffin House. There's another one in there that some goals to enhance the tourism for your area. And then Sarah also touched on housing, and you do have some goals and objectives listed in there for a housing upgrade. So I actually pulled out the Main Street and tourism section for each of you, and in that might be some ideas to get your brain juices flowing, that's something you could apply to this process that we've laid out for you. I think the goals for the Main Street was on page 31, I think, and the tourism was on page 34 and 35, or 35 and 36. And at least those are maybe some predetermined objectives for you as you think about this process.
So the other communities that we've been talking to about putting together a regional application within Wayne County are Cambridge and Hagerstown. So there are a limited number of communities that have comprehensive plans that are no more than 7 years old. And so that's a very strict criteria. There's not much way to get around that. So those three we've been talking to. Again, it's a very short timeline, I understand that. But if you decide you'd like to participate and we can pull things together by April the 3rd, and the three of us are willing to help you if you want to work with either Cambridge or Hagerstown or both of them. If we get that letter of intent in, and if we would be selected as a finalist, then there's a lot more work that needs to be done between being named a finalist and the time that the actual application is due at the end of September. There will be support from Ball State and their Indiana Communities Institute on looking at demographic and economic data for the three communities in the county. And then from that point, you would need to have public meetings and work with the community to decide on exactly what projects you want to put forward. And then also work collaboratively with the other communities to kind of split up the available resources and determine what's the best fit. Well, if Fountain City really has a project that would use money from Okra, then do one of the other communities have a project that would use money from the Indiana Housing Authority, like that, to work through how does this close to $15–16 million potentially, how do we equitably distribute those potential resources throughout the communities that are participating. So again, the things that we would need by April the 3rd, Sarah listed there in your packet, but did you list that we need a copy of the resolution that approved their comp plan? Is that listed on your sheet?
It's not.
Okay, so you need to dig up the comp plan, which obviously was approved in the last 3 or 4 years.
If you can't find that, I may have a copy of it.
So we would need to include that in the packet. So, we'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have for tonight, but recognizing that this is a lot of new information coming at you, give you a couple of days to digest that and talk amongst yourselves about whether it's something that you'd like to do this year. If not this year, would you like to regroup and maybe try it next year? This is going to be an annual process, and keep in mind that you're competing with hundreds of potential collaborations between a couple of communities anywhere across the state. So Steve gave you his cards. If you have questions, want to contact us, I've got a couple of cards with me I'll give to you, Shane. And, I guess for right now, do you have any immediate questions or thoughts on that possibility?
Anyone?
I don't have any questions right now.
And obviously, this is a short notice for you folks. As Jeff said, we would be willing to work with you for the next year too. And obviously, we'd spend most of the summer working with you on that. So whatever works best for you.
That it?
Thank you very much. And
Thank you.
and don't hesitate to get in touch with us if you have questions or want to talk more.
We'll do it.
All right, thank you.
Thank
for your
you.
time.
Thank you very much.
Anyone else? Any visitors?
Yeah, my name's Dave Oaks, I live on the north side. What's the deal with the water? What's going on with it? What is it so brown? And when is it gonna quit? Is it still, I mean, it's disgusting. So, somebody said it was routine maintenance, but I'm drinking it, I'm bathing in it, and we wanna know what it is, why it's so brown, why.
We had 2 meters changed at the plant, which was approved a couple months, well, after, 2 months ago. They had to be buried and replaced, which stirred up iron in the system. The brown you're seeing is iron, it won't hurt you.
So it's rust.
It's rust.
Okay.
I'm going to, tomorrow, I'm gonna go out and flush some hydrants, which is will probably stir up some more, but it should pull a lot of that out.
Well, see, that's why I was wondering why you guys just didn't do that from the start. I mean,
I didn't know it was gonna be this big a problem.
I mean, cause it's bad.
Right.
And, another thing I wanted to ask is, why did we have to get on the city page? And a bunch of people ask questions, why can't we post, hey, listen, we had to change some pumps on the water system, you're gonna have some rust in your water, don't freak out, you know what I mean? Information's key here, you know, communication, it just takes a second to get on there and say, hey, this is what's going on, here it is, and then you don't have people freaking out, you know what I mean? Because people are literally freaking out, they don't know what it is, so, you know, it'd be nice to know, hey, this is what's going on. Because like I said, we were dealing with it for a week. And I just thought, hey, something happened down to my water heater, got some rust going on in there. And that's because I know how things work like that, you know. My neighbor, he doesn't know, and he's like, man, what's going on with the water? So everybody thought it was their own system. And then after a week, they got to talking, they're like, hey, no, it's mine too, it's mine too. And it'd been nice for somebody to say, you know, just get on the Fountain City page on Facebook and say, hey, this is what's going on. You know what I mean? Then you don't have people freaking out and they don't have to come up to me and take
Part
your
of that
time.
was, I couldn't really schedule a time with him. I showed up one morning, they were set at the gate to change it. I didn't, you know, I had no idea they were coming that day, so.
Well, I mean, you don't have to do it. It'd be nice to do it before.
Right,
you
but I didn't,
don't
like I
know
say, I
what's
didn't
gonna
know
go
sure
on.
they had the meters ordered, and when it come in, they showed up, so.
Well, and I'm just saying, once it happens,
Right.
you know, get on there and tell people, like when you blew out the lines. Been nice for somebody to know you blew out the lines, cause you blew out past my meter, which is old, and that's my responsibility, you know, I'm not blaming that on you. But then I would've known, hey, I need to go look at this. You know, when my sump pump kept running, maybe I wouldn't have had an $800 bill, you know what I mean? It's just communication, it's like, nobody's talking to each other, and I mean, and it's the digital age, all you gotta do is, boom, put it on the Facebook page. There it is, everybody knows, nobody has to worry about it.
Well, we are in the midst of a major water project for the whole town, so.
See, and I don't think anybody knows that. You know, if you don't come to the meetings, you don't know these things. And if somebody, I don't know, secretary, whoever, could just pop on the Facebook page and say, hey, we're in a major, you know, your water might be off, you might have some rust in your water. I pretty much knew that's what it was, I figured that's what it was, but nobody else heard it, you know what I mean? So, and it, like I said, it'd have been nice if you'd have just flushed it out and tried to get it before it got to everybody. You know, cause I didn't know where the fire hydrants were or whatever, but if you're gonna flush it out tomorrow, that'd be great.
Yeah.
So like I said, it's been going on 2 weeks
Most of the
now,
problem seems to be.
you know, so.
Like he said, neither one of us expected it to be, and
Be
it's
what it was,
sporadic
right.
too, yeah, we
Yeah, I'm
didn't,
sure
we didn't
it
expect
is.
it to be,
We had to drain the water out of the filters for them to do it because some of the valves not operate properly, which when you fill them back up, then that stirs up the
I
rust.
mean, that's fine, and I pretty much knew what it was, but I'm here for about 4 or 5 other people that really didn't know what was going on, so, you know, like I said, communication's key, if you guys had just put that on the Facebook page, I wouldn't have to be wasting my time coming up here. Everybody wouldn't have been freaking out. They wouldn't have been, you know, arguing on Facebook about stupid stuff. It would have just been done and over and, you know. So I don't know who's on the page.
But we're glad to see you here.
Yeah, and I mean,
This will be the last time, hopefully. But yeah,
that's,
just-
we have these meetings for the community to come and voice their concerns and opinions and stuff like that, so.
Yeah, I know, and I try not to come up here and try to stir anything up. I just want to live and be left alone. But yeah, just, you know, communication. Just let people know, and that's what that page is for. People are on it, they're looking at it, you know. And it's a lot easier than having all of these people come up here and, you know, by the time they get up to here, they're mad. And they're gonna start saying stuff, you know what I mean? It's just easier just to say, hey, listen, because I've had a conversation with 2 of my neighbors and, you know, it's ate up a lot of my time when it would have just been nice for you guys to come on the Facebook page and, you know, inform them. Especially, I mean, with water. After the Flint thing and all that stuff, people start seeing the brown water, they're going, you know, they're freaking out, so.
Yeah.
That's all I gotta say about it. Now I know what it is, I'm good with it.
Yeah, I think we can make that a priority to get on there, and if you're specifically inquiring about the Facebook page, I think that'll reach to the people a little bit better. I think we
Yeah.
can make that a possibility and kind
I
of
mean,
just
I
get
know
on
you
there and
guys
just give a
post
short
stuff at the
little
post
spiel.
office and stuff, but nobody looks at that stuff.
Yeah, you
You
guys are
know,
on.
the Facebook page, it'll pop up on your line and
Yeah.
there it is. And
Yeah,
Well, I think we need to come up with a collective, between the council and the utilities departments of a good notification thing, you know.
right.
You know, Ron wasn't a Facebooker at all. You know, I commented to just kind of get, which I don't like to do because just,
Yeah,
but there needs to be a comprehensive plan between all of us on how we can handle future.
I
get if it's
agree.
an emergency,
Get it out
something
there.
different.
yeah.
But, because not everybody has Facebook, you know, we need to come up with some ideas maybe on.
Yeah.
I mean,
and
somebody
even some
popped it up
protocols.
yesterday and it wasn't 30 minutes, there's 42 comments. It might have been the same person that commented 42 times, but I don't think it was, you know, but.
Yeah, right.
And the more people know about it, the more they're gonna be on it, you know?
Yeah.
And you can shut comments off so you don't have to hear all the stupid stuff. You can just, hey, this is it, this is what's going on. Like, I'm sure hardly anybody knows we're in a major water, you know, fixing the water, which is great. I think that's a good idea, but nobody knows about it unless they come here. And nobody's gonna come here, so, I mean, might as well face it, I mean, look at it. And something else, that housing authority grant, that is great. That's not only for the homeowners locally, but for local contractors, because I got a big taste of the last one in Richmond, doing decks and stuff like that downtown. And it was major, it was pretty good. So not only do the homeowners get their homes fixed, but local contractors get to come in and do it. It's not like the tourism stuff where you got Cooley coming in and wiping everything out. I mean, with the housing grant, they get local contractors and spend their money locally. So, that was a really good thing. I mean, I understand the tourism part, but the housing authority part, if you wanna push that, that was really good. And that's all I gotta say about that, so. Now I got my answers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I just want to bring up East North Street,
Mm-hmm.
the potholes. They are terrible.
I drive that road every day. I know the weather hasn't been, I tried to fix some the last round that the weather was good, but it hasn't been, I mean, between the rain and it being cold. If I put that stuff down when there's water in it, it just popped right back up as soon as somebody, or it freezes again. It's kinda, I know it, I'm aware of all the I drive the roads, when I salt, when I plow. I have to check the East North Street lift station every day,
Yeah.
so I know exactly what, I feel terrible about it, but I'm doing what I can do with the weather. You know,
Yeah,
and I'm really
I got
trying.
the little car right across the street from the station that you
Okay.
check every day.
Yeah, right.
It's like
It tears my car up.
I
we're
know.
driving like in between each pothole.
I understand completely. I know it's a problem, and I tried to, last winter I was able to stay on top of it a little bit more because we had better weather, but, I'm doing what I can do. Hopefully this week, with it drying out and being warmer, my plan is to get out there and really hit it hard and get a lot of these fixed. But I'm aware of the situation, and I'm trying to, the weather can only allow me to do what it allows me to do.
And you have plenty of cold patch?
We're,
Are you
we're gonna, we have some, I can go get some more, but we're gonna try and get a hold of the county and see if we can't get some bulk
Right, buy a bulk off them would be a lot cheaper.
Right, and then we can cover a lot more ground with what we're spending with the street department budget be doing it, you know. We're trying to be careful about what we're doing too.
Right.
So, but that, we're gonna try and go that route and call,
Mike Sharp.
Mike Sharp and see if we can't get some bulk off of him. But what I have left, I'll use up and try and get them fixed. I know the ones on Hartley are real bad, you know. I hit them every day too, so I mean,
I live there in the corner on North Street, and where that massive pothole is at the end of my driveway.
Yeah.
And what the problem is though, is that the water, where the step is, where you drive on the North Street, that's all downhill. And that, all that water comes down the street, and then I've had to make a dam across the front of my yard to keep the water from coming in my yard, because they built it up over the years. And now my front yard is the low spot.
right.
So the water comes down and then runs into my driveway and then floods my driveway out. Well, in that corner is where all the water sits, then people come around that corner and they use my driveway as a cutoff.
Right.
And then it turns all that into rocks, and then next thing you know, you got this huge
And
pothole
that's
in my driveway.
that's the thing too, you know, the water's sitting there and with nothing firm up against for that, when I patch that pothole, if you could take some pictures of that stuff,
Yeah,
and with our stormwater project, if that's a problem area,
yeah.
and you take the pictures and we're aware of it, so anytime you get a bunch of water in your yard, and take pictures of the tire tracks running through your yard, and, you know, email it to the town, or bring it to a meeting, or send, you know, if you see me out, print them out,
Drop them in my Dropbox.
drop them in the Dropbox, that's issues we can take care of with the stormwater
The
thing
street,
too.
the street needs to be, it is angled towards the house.
Right,
Instead
right.
of
Yes.
towards 27. So all that water just comes straight down the street, puddles in front of my house, and the next thing you know, I got a basement full of water.
Right, and well, and we can add drainage there, and me being the street superintendent, as soon as we get this water and sewer stuff going or whatever, I've been hitting hard to try and get stuff done with the streets, you know,
It's
because.
just been patched over the years.
Right,
patched
right,
patched
and
patched.
it's getting to where,
And now, here's the street, here's my yard, and then all
Right.
that water just crowns off and just floods everything right there. So,
Where we live at, the rain runs off the road into our yard and floods our front yard all the time.
right. That, some of that stuff can be fixed with the drainage, some of it will have to be the road, I mean, but,
see, I've lived up here since I was 12, and when they put in the sewer system, they built the road up.
okay.
Right there. And then over the years, you have a ramp to turn on North Street, and then it goes downhill. Well, when you turn up there and then go down that ramp, from all the patches over the years of the road getting just a patch and a patch and a patch, it got, 6, 8, 10 inches higher.
Right.
And as it did, my front yard and all the front yards in there, Mike and Sally live to my right, and their front yard is at the top of the hill, so they really don't have to worry about it. Mom and Dad live to my left, and their driveway is at the very side by side with mine. And then everything, all that water just creeps down there, and it finds its lowest spot, and it just puddles up there. And next thing you know, I got water that is 3
Right.
feet away from my house,
And then like I
because
said.
it's just the low spot.
And if you
where
take
it ends
pictures
up.
of that, between the stormwater and then when we get the road project going or whatever, all that stuff helps. It helps know where the problem areas are at. Believe me, the ramp thing going up on North Street, because Mill Street's the same way, and the one down by the post office is the same way. I know because it's a pain to plow those. My plows, I'm right there with you. I understand the problems and stuff, but.
It's just been years of.
Right,
problem,
and
and then boom.
Pictures and something like this, this is, hey, this is where another problem area is that
What was that address? What's your address?
102.
102 East North.
Yeah.
And if I see something, if I can take some pictures too, when I see a bunch of water sitting there,
Yeah.
you
You guys are
know.
good about patching those holes out front, it's just lately it's been, I know, rain, snow,
And that's really hard
whatever,
to.
but they've just gotten massive lately.
Yeah, and well, and with our weather shifts, the freeze and thaw and then the rain we're getting in between,
Yeah.
that's even harder
Yeah,
on.
it's not gonna stay.
Even
in
if
there.
I patched what I patched a few months ago, I noticed has popped out just
Yeah.
because of the.
Right, it's sprayed
weird-
all over the place in my.
But, and it's the weird weather we've been having, and, I'm trying to do the best I can do, and, I'm aware of.
It is what it is.
Right, and I'm aware of the problems, and I feel bad, and like I said, I drive that road every day, and and believe me, it sucks when I have to plow that stuff too, because I'm racking my plow
Just
and.
that street needs to be about a foot shorter down at the end.
Yeah.
I know it's a lot to ask, but that's.
Hey, that was one of my requests to Shane at one point was if we do that, we need to fix those too, you know, just for,
Yeah, it's,
a whole bunch of other
yeah,
issues.
water issues is my biggest thing because it creeps into my basement. And then now my sump pump's pumping 24/7. When we get those big rains, those inch or two rains, it's water just creeps. And then next thing you know, I'm down there, 24/7 watching my pump so it doesn't shut off.
Right,
So I don't have a flooded basement.
I understand.
And, it's a lot of that water, it just, my yard is the low spot and that's where it's gonna go. So I always have to keep an eye on it.
Okay. Like I said, take some pictures, if I see it, if I'm out and I see it, I'll take some and we'll make that a problem area for the stormwater and the road, project too, so I mean, that, I can patch the potholes for now and we can deal with the others as soon as we can or later.
Works for me.
All right.
So hopefully I'll be out there this week, that was actually on my department report thing, I was gonna try and take care of some of the potholes this week, so.
I got a couple phone calls about something out there today too. So.
Yeah, so.
Any other visitors? Anybody else? New business. Stu? Steve?
Yes.
Which one of you want to do it first?
Stu's always first. He's got a creative problem, so I can solve it for you.
That's right. Well, as you guys know, and they had the announcements from Okra earlier this year, and unfortunately, you folks didn't get awarded. It's a very competitive scoring that they do, and they look at a lot of different needs for this. Although this is a big need and undertaking that you guys are doing and being proactive and taking care of your system. However, they, as you were talking about, in regards to your stormwater, they like to see pictures, they want to see all kinds of health problems and issues to help with the scoring of that, because you're going up against a ton of other applicants for these type of projects. However, in so doing that, when we tried to apply for the grant, we also applied to the SRF, the State Revolving Fund Loan Group. We had held the public hearings last summer, and we completed the PPR, which I have here. You guys should have copies of that on file here for the town hall, stating exactly what we're going to do in the water project as it is. And then we were going to look at funding for that, and whether it's all through the SRF, and I believe that's what Steve's going to talk about, and that's all the route we're going to go here, since it doesn't seem like Okra, this is going to be a strong project, and this is what we were told through Amy Miller, the grant administrator. However, shifting to the stormwater, that is, you guys can apply to Okra for that. You do have a stormwater utility formed already. So you're starting, I think, I don't know when you actually started collecting on that, and that's gonna be a big issue.
It was last year, I can't remember the exact month, October, September maybe, something
Okay,
like
so when
that.
you started, so you haven't built that up yet, quite a bit yet, but for what they're looking for as far as a match, but then also there's different ways to fund stormwater projects, but but I know that need is, as it sounds like, and we all know it, and I drove it earlier here, but when there was still daylight out, I was driving around the town and looking at some areas, you can tell, where the problem areas are and what happens, as far as, as well in regards to the streets. So, it's unfortunate that it's gonna take some time trying to apply. We don't know if we apply for Okra, if we can get it that first time, it may take 2 times, it may take 3 times. It's just the nature of the beast of that. But there's other funding mechanisms as well if you wanted to speed that process up. And again, Steve is here to talk, and I think he's got handouts. Okay, yeah. So I'm gonna shift it over to Mr. Brock.
Good to see everybody again. I do have handouts.
Always.
Always glad to leave paper behind, that's good. And sorry to hear you're sick.
Thank you.
Yeah. On the mend?
I thought I was over it and it came back, so.
Oh no. I'm gonna keep my distance.
Yeah, that's why I'm sitting over here.
The first page is just a page of the types of funding programs that are available for loan, and some of these have grant too, and it's just a summary I give out to communities when they're looking at funding. And the top one is State Revolving Loan Fund. It's a loan and a grant program, and it's the one you've applied for. And the way the State Revolving Loan Fund works on your water project is that you made an application, doesn't commit you anything, and around July, they'll put together a funding package. They get the money in June, they'll look to see where you're on the project priority list, and I brought the project priority list, the most current one over here, and they've got 21 projects on it, and you're number 9, which is not a bad position to be in, because a lot of the people above you may not do anything. They may not be in for this round, maybe another round, but in July, the SRF will see how much money they have, will see where everybody is, and on your water project, since you scored number 9, and you have a, which means high on environmental need, and the post-project user fees are high, they'll put together a funding offer for you. And then you'll decide whether you want to accept that funding offer or not. So you're not committed to anything until you do. That funding offer, because of your the impact, which I've got on the second page, I'm sorry, the third page on the water project. You're talking about a $3.6 million project about, I was showing some Okra grant, but it doesn't look like you're gonna qualify for Okra, so we'd be adding the Okra grant, what I'm calling the SRF grant, to come down to what the project user fees would be. Your current 4,000 gallon water bill, which is what the SRF looks at, is around $42.
$42.82.
42, I got 42.49, I was close. Thank you, I'll correct that. So if we'd be trying to see how much grant money we can get from them, the SRF tries to buy down to what they call a target level of user fees and affordability level. And for water, that's $45. So you're currently at 42, so that means a lot of your project would be eligible for a grant. We just don't know how much they would have. They get about $20 million of grant in a year, and they try to spread that out among a lot of people. I always say there's a sweet spot for grants from the SRF, because they're trying to spread a lot of it out, and that's somewhere between $1 and $2 million. But I got a $2.5 million grant on a sewer project last year. So if we're trying to buy you down to around $50, we're looking for about $3.2 million worth of grant. So I don't know how they're gonna look at you. The only thing I will say is that the SRF, it's easier for them to give grant on water projects than it is sewer projects, because they don't get as many applications in for water projects that are over the $45 level. In fact, if I'm looking at the project priority list above you, there's only one other project that's gonna show post-project user fee over $45. So that would be the only competition you would have, and we don't know if they're actually gonna come in this year or not. So if you were a sewer project, I'd say that it's it may not be as likely, but for a water project, I think that you're looking good. They've got their, they're on the list, so they've got their environment in, they've got their application, so all you're doing now is just waiting. However, if you get a grant offer from the SRF for your water project in July, and be about mid or end of July, they're gonna ask you if you can close your loan with them by December 15th, because they try to get all their grant money out the door in the same year, which means that you're going to look at getting construction bids, receiving construction bids around mid-October. So the difficulty is getting a project designed and bid out by mid-October so that you could accept that grant. Now I've pushed projects into January, I pushed 2 projects into February this year, but they're gonna ask you in July if you can close by December 15th. So that's what you've gotta kind of think about. And if you're not, then they're gonna look at somebody else to give the money to, because they're trying to get that money out the door. So it's difficult, because all state projects hurry up and wait. You know, you've gotta wait till they can give you the money, and then you've gotta hurry up and try to close the loan. And I don't know what the design would be on a project like this, a $3 million project, how long that would take you, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months?
Well, we've done them, we've wiped them out when we've been in this type of situation with other, with similar clients. We've been able to do it within a month, that quickly, and get everything turned into item to get a construction permit, and then go for bids from there. We've actually already started on this, on the design already, and we've headed down that road, already had the CAD and the drafting going through this. We've been through the town doing the due diligence as far as the locations and everything else, as far as the other utilities where they're at, so we know, okay, when it comes time for construction, we're not gonna run into anything and have any surprises underground. It does happen.
I have a question, Stu.
Yep.
So the planning grant, when we put the bids out, when the engineering firms had to bid for the planning grant part, and you guys got awarded that. So that is everything all the way up to when we advertise for bids for the construction. You guys are responsible for everything up until that point, correct?
Right, and you don't have to procure again, because you've already done that.
What do you mean procure?
Procuring for an engineering firm, and so what we've done is that, and then last year when we had our public hearing, if you recall, I know it went really quick, and the turnout wasn't great, but we had signed contracts there and then for the design work and for everything, for construction, administration, and management, and inspection on the project.
But for the actual construction part, we are required to advertise
You will
for
have to take
bids for engineering companies
We'll
to do the
handle that, that's
construction.
part of
Okay.
our duty, that was part of the contract, and that's what we do every project, is that we have to handle that, do the bid administration of that. And
There's been some confusion about how it actually
that's our job.
goes,
that's our
so that's
task.
why I wanted to ask, just to clear that
Yeah.
up.
No, good question. No, that's our task, and Steve has his task as well, with the funding and with SRF group too, so, yeah. But we're already down the road, I mean, we can have this done, I mean, if you get that notice and you get a call from SRF and, it looks favorable, then yeah, and if you accept on it and wanna do it, I mean, we can push it through very quickly.
So what we'll get around mid-July is an offer, and that will be how much loan, how much grant. I'll run the numbers for you, show what the rate impact's gonna be. You just gotta decide whether you wanna move forward then, you know. Stu's telling you they're ready for the engineering firm, so really you're kinda waiting on the water project to get the funding together, and that's gonna happen right around the 15th to 20th of July, because it takes them that long, did last year, to get the offers out. They may contact you, they may just contact me, and I'll have to contact you.
So do you wanna plan on coming to the August meeting?
Actually,
Or do we
we've
need to
got-
have a special meeting before?
Yeah, we're
Okay.
gonna, when I get the call, I'll call you, probably you, because you're easy to get a hold of, and you can, and let you know what the offer is, what we have, what the rate impact's gonna be, and you can decide how you wanna move forward.
Okay.
Okay, and then, I need some sort of a commitment from you that you're gonna do it. I've been able to do this on the phone before with the SRF. I'll say, yeah, they'll accept that, they'll move forward, and they've taken my word for it. So, a special meeting's not a bad idea, it gives me a chance to come in and talk to everybody. You know, you can make a decision as a group, and I can share what the rate impact is gonna be, and I have a piece of paper with all the numbers on it that you can look and hold in your hand and know that's what it's gonna go to. I will say that, you know, the information we have supplied to the State Revolving Loan Fund at this point is based on engineering estimates. And we won't really know what that project cost is gonna be until we put out for construction bid. And that's gonna be sometime, we'll receive those probably sometime in October. So sometimes there's a difference between the engineering estimates and construction projects. Sometimes the construction project bids come in over the engineering estimates, and sometimes they're under. And I went, probably every project I had last October was over engineering estimate, but I had 4 that came in January, and they were all under engineering estimates. So that's a good thing. So you never know, but that could affect the numbers that we're looking at. This is how it gets really weird, is that they're gonna give us a funding offer based on grant and loan, based on the engineering estimates, and based on what we think the post-project user fee is gonna be, so they can see what the impact is. But then the construction bids come in 3 months later, and they'll adjust the loan portion, they rarely adjust the grant portion. Unless you get under what their target level is, and that would be $45. Say, but maybe they'll give you a bid for, and you come in at $52, you know, as a user fee, post-project user fee. And then the construction bids come in under estimate, and you're only at $46. They won't adjust your grant at all, you'll keep the full grant, you'll just have a lower user fee. But if the other thing turns around, they rarely give more grant out. So then it's up to you, talking to your engineers about what you can do to make the project more affordable, what you can afford and how you want to move forward. But those are all decisions on your part at that point until we close. And that's pretty much the water project. So at this point, we're in good shape. You're number 9 on the list, only one person above you that looks like there'd be in any competition for you for grant money. There could be more projects that come in between now and June. Usually June 1st is about when they get their last applications in, so that might change a little bit. But again, my experience is there's just fewer water projects that qualify for grant money. And so I think you're in pretty good shape, but we'll just wait on the water project and see. The previous page was the stormwater project, and the numbers I have on that is about $1 million in estimate at this point. So,
Yeah, because we had the stormwater, we had done those, we've given you different options, and that was in the planning grant, that Trina had mentioned, and that was paid through Okra, that was a planning grant that we did for that. And we have to, as part of the requirements of that is giving you all alternatives and options and areas, and then you get to decide from there after the public hearing was held, what areas or that you want to concentrate on and what you deem that the most necessary. And then there's the option of wrapping it all in together as well, and different ways to finance these projects.
yeah, so about $1 million project, if that's what you're talking about here. I just showed you some numbers on that. $600,000 Okra grant, that's the maximum Okra grant they can get you. That's the most they give out for stormwater project. Leaves you about $400,000 to come up with on your own. The SRF has a standard 20-year loan term, 2% interest rates. SRF's one of the options to go to. As we looked at the first page, I showed you a couple different funding options, and we're talking about State Revolving Loan Fund and USDA Rural Development, and then third is open market loan financing. The difference is that the top 2 programs are federally and state subsidized loan programs, which means that you get a discounted interest rate. SRF's lowest interest rate right now is 2%. Rural Development's lowest interest rate is 1.6%. So those are pretty good interest rates to be fixed for the life of the loan. I like both programs, but SRF is what I call the quick program, and rural development is what I call the slow program. In fact, they kind of flip differently, because if you, to qualify for Okra, you've got to show that you've got your financing capability in place. And that means that you're on the project priority list for SRF, or it means you have a letter of conditions from rural development. And you're probably a year away getting a letter of conditions if we would start filing anything right now. And then once you get that letter of conditions, you have 5 years to actually close a loan with the rural development. So you can see how much longer that process is than going into State Revolving Loan Fund, where we'd be able to close a loan this year. So because of that, for Okra, you would wait until you get your letter of conditions if you're going to be funded through rural development, which means you're a year away even from applying to Okra. So if you're going to apply to Okra, you're going to look at what's called open market financing, where you're going to look at funding it in-house, or you're going to fund it through something like the State Revolving Loan Fund program. Open market finance would be like going to a bank and getting a market interest rate, and most interest rates would be much higher than the 1.6 and the 2% interest rate you're going to get from the SRF. You might be talking about 3.5% or 4%, and there's a process that you have to go through as a utility. You've got to go through what they call a competitive bid financing, where you have to have a competitive bid for the project, for the financing portion of it, to see who would give you the lowest interest rate on the day that you hold the bid. And new money, revenue-backed bond issues, which is what this would be, loan would have to be competitively bid. So the process is a little bit different there. The SRF, again, is a nice and quick program, and the nice thing about it is that it doesn't obligate you when you apply to it. That would certainly be one thing that you could do for the stormwater. They fund stormwater. We talked about the project priority list before. One of the weird things about stormwater with the SRF program is that it has very low environmental impact. It has a quality of life impact, it gets the water out of people's streets, keeps water out of people's driveways, but it's very low environmental impact. And so you score at the bottom of the list for the SRF. SRF also considers stormwater to be part of your sewage system. So when you talk about a buy-down factor for user fees, they're gonna look at your stormwater rate and your sewage rate combined and to see what that comes to be, and their buy-down economic affordability rate for sewage projects is $65 at 4,000 gallons. So I don't think that this $400,000 you're gonna finance is gonna get you in the realm to get any additional grant money out of the SRF. So what we're probably looking at doing is applying to the SRF, which would be my recommendation, and then waiting so you can qualify for Okra. So you can put your Okra grant submission in this year. You'd be able to qualify for both round 1 and round 2. I think that's what we're talking about with Amy, right? Round 1 and round 2?
It'd be round 2.
Be round 2? Okay.
Yeah, because of just of the timelines and the applications,
Okay.
letter of intent. that
She's
has
not
to
gonna be in there round 1. Okay.
With the environmental, yeah.
But it doesn't really cost you much to apply to the SRF, and you're not obligated, but it would get you into Okra for financing. I've switched financing vehicles with Okra before we get qualified with the SRF program, and sometimes we come in with open market at the end. So we look at your, after you get the Okra grant award, we'd then look to see what we want to do on a financing. But the best way to qualify for that Okra grant would be to get on the project priority list for the SRF, which means that your engineers would have to file a PER, which they got done because they did that with the Okra planning grant, and an application, and either the SRF or Amy would have to come up with the environmental assessment on the stormwater, and then you're on the project priority list, and you're gonna show up at the bottom. So don't get upset about that. I had a stormwater project last year that scored at the very bottom of the list for the project priority list, and we got a $2 million grant for it, and funded through the SRF. So it doesn't necessarily eliminate you from grant, although I don't think you're gonna qualify for grant with them with this project, and it doesn't eliminate you from loan funding either. The SRF gives a lot of their loan money out in July. They may commit all their loan money in July depending on the applications they have. And what that would mean is that if we get the grant from Okra and we need to close a loan, that we can go through a second program that the SRF has called their pool program. And they have a pool program for the people they can't qualify for under their traditional program, and that again has a 20 to 35-year loan term, and the interest rate's just a little bit higher. Last year I closed 3 loans out in their pool program, and the interest rates ranged from 2.25% to 2.5%. So that's going to get fixed for the life of the loan. So that's not too much higher than the 2% that they would have. So we have options. But again, to move forward with the stormwater project, the first thing you need to do for Amy is to get your financial capability in place, and the easiest way to do that is to have your engineers apply to the State Revolving Loan Fund for your stormwater project. Any questions? That's a lot of information.
Yeah, I'm just asking questions to the town as well. Would it make sense if by doing that application as a rep, in one of our pages that we had, part of the planning grant, we had everything. We had extending the existing stormwater collection system to all the areas that we looked at. The North Basin, central area, and the south areas of town. And that was a total of, construction was $1.389 million. And would it make sense then to throw that in, all of it?
You can't, and it all depends on what Amy set up to put in, because whatever Amy would apply for is, we'd want to mirror that in the PER that you have there. And ochre is a little funny, and I'm not an expert in ochre, and Amy's an expert in ochre. Sometimes when you apply for a bigger project and you do a smaller project, they back up some of the grant they gave you. Because what they look at is the grant is for the full project, and say if it's 25% of the full project, and you back the project down by $100,000, they'll back 25% of their grant number down too. So it's something we'll talk to Amy about and see. You know, the first thing I always say is get the project you want and apply for the project you want, and then see if it's affordable. But we don't want to give grant money back either if that's an option. This last couple of years, I've seen where Okra both does and doesn't do that, where some projects they don't take any grant money away, and other projects they have. So that's a good question to ask Amy. But we won't ask for a bigger project than we want, because we may have a risk then of losing some of our grant money if we do get awarded a grant. But that would get you started with Okra and get in the application as soon as possible, and then we have options for SRF funding beyond that. Any questions on that? Questions from the audience? Okay, I'll sit down.
Here's a question, I guess, for you. Would any of these qualify as part of any of the stellar stuff? I know that what's already been talked about and discussed, but I didn't know if any of that, if they're including that in part of the.
They could. The challenge is, it sounds like you want to get a lot of this underway. With applying for Stellar this year, you're just getting that designation. And so it would be until the following year when you can start your application processes and those sort of things. So that's a challenge. But this would definitely qualify as a complementary project. That would be ongoing. That would help your application, showing that you've invested this allotment of dollars into your community for this purpose, and then anything you apply for in addition to that is just going to shine brighter.
You said Stellar would help on the back end of projects, like you said, if we were even finishing up the project. I don't know what the timeline's gonna be, but that's a potential too, correct? Even if we were finishing up this project, you guys could come in and assist on that.
So you would do a certain phase. Perhaps you do 2 phases of the project. Phase 1 would be underway, and then you'd be applying for phase 2. If that's
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm asking, yeah, okay.
Anything else? Moving right along, cameras in the park. You young man?
Yep. So I was asked to put an estimate together, and I sat down with Terry Martin and went over the problem areas in the park. We felt like 4 cameras would be enough to cover the areas. So what I did was I estimated for 4 cameras, and the actual video recorder will handle up to 8. That way you're not restricting yourself just to 4. So if you do find more problem areas, we can always upgrade some more. The thing is, we decided to put the recorder in one of the buildings, and Carrie was asking me about viewing them from the building here. At first, probably not. Be later down the road, because you'll need internet access to that down at the park to bring it up here to view it. So we discussed that. So it could be a later date to bring that viewable up here.
But it's still recorded down there, and
Yeah.
if something, if we
Doesn't need
see
to be
something
down there.
has gone on, we can go down there
Yeah,
and
look at it.
pull everything back
Yeah.
up.
I quoted on there a 6 terabyte hard drive to go in there. For 4 cameras, you'll probably get 30-45 days cycle. So if something does happen, you're gonna have 30 days cycle to view and pull video footage off of it.
Is that in park stuff or?
This is definitely would have to be a project that would have to come out of edit or somewhere, because that would wipe park out, and there's utility bills that get paid out park. And plus, you're gonna have to get at least one more estimate before you can vote on this.
Okay.
I have contacted Corson, and they were supposed to send me an estimate at the end of last week. They said they had the old estimate that they worked up. He was gonna email it to me, I haven't received that yet.
Okay.
So I will call him again tomorrow.
Just out of curiosity, Tom, just asking about, is this a hard drive? Is it, do we have a removable hard drive?
Yes, it has,
So maybe we could have two at a time, have two hard drives and switch them out?
what you can actually do, I think that recorder, it might have the capability of putting two in it. I'm not totally sure on that model, but what you can actually do is we could actually take a computer here and make it a server, and it could record as well here on that. So you have the capability of having two devices recording.
Okay.
I think you were talking like rotating when you pull one.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, it's like, we take one out, we put one in, that way we can, if we need to, we can check it out. Take our time checking it out,
Yeah.
so to speak. Reviewing it.
So let's table this till next month. Can I get a motion to table this till we get some more estimates?
I make a motion we table this.
Can I get a second?
I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
East North Street conditions. Is that you?
I've just been getting some complaints about the trash that's around some of the properties that are out there. I've taken a couple drives out there, I see wagons, it's just piled with, I don't know what, all kinds of stuff scattered out through the yard. I know this is winter, but we're gonna be warming up soon. I just think that if we're gonna be able to move forward with more grants and to make our community look better, then we need to kind of focus on what properties look like, not just on this part of town or that part of town. It needs to be as a whole. So.
Is there anything in the ordinance book about?
There is, but I'm gonna have to talk with Gary about that, because I know that there was a couple things that were iffy.
I was gonna say, I think it was
in
a
the
real
old
gray,
ordinance book.
real
There were
gray
a bunch
area.
of
I was
areas.
just told that Aaron had made several trips out there and talked with residents out there about getting some things cleaned up, hauled away,
I had some complaints
whatever.
as
I
well.
don't know, that's just what I was told.
And when he was in, he said something about writing like a red document they place on the door or something like that, and I don't know if
Ordinance
that's
violation.
an ordinance
For a
violation,
ordinance
yeah, so I don't
violation.
know if that would fine the residents and then they would have to just pay fine.
Usually he would warn them first, and if it wasn't taken care of, then
Right.
he'd fine them.
And usually I think, well, at least in my situation, when the warning came through, the situation was taken care of, so.
So you're gonna talk to Gary about that?
Yep, make sure that we get that, make sure it's all lined out as far as that goes, and, go through and start, if anybody knows of certain areas, let him or us know about it, and then, like I said, we can start.
I looked in the book and I saw a few things about it, but I didn't bring my book tonight, so.
Anything else on that?
That's all I got.
Salary ordinance?
That's me. I had a question asked about council pay, so I emailed the State Board of Accounts to ask them about it, to see if it was permissible or not. And He emailed me back and wanted to look at the salary ordinance, so I emailed him and attached the salary ordinance to it. And then Todd actually called me today. And our salary ordinance does not specify council's pay. All that it says on the salary ordinance is that employees are to be paid bi-weekly. Starting January 1st, which I know you guys aren't really employees, but he said that that being the only thing on there that specifies frequency of pay, that it would need to be changed, or I would have to start paying council every 2 weeks. And if you so choose to get paid every 2 weeks, that's gonna be like $140 every 2 weeks, instead of your lump sum checks every 6 months, twice a year. So I need to know if you want to get paid every 2 weeks. If not, then I have amended the salary ordinance to state payday will be every other Friday beginning January 1, 2020, except for council, which will be paid at the June and December meetings. If you change it to that, then I have to do a 2-month council pay check for all of you, because this won't go into effect until March, so you've already had 2 months, and Todd said that I could pay all council members for 2 months, and then it would go to June and December. So you guys need to decide if you want to keep it getting paid every, or twice a year, or if you want to get paid every 2 weeks.
Either way, I don't know.
Twice a year is still good with me.
Twice a year?
Yeah.
Fine.
Okay, so you need to ask for a motion to accept
Can I get a
the
motion
amended.
to accept the amended salary ordinance?
Make a motion that we keep the same salary ordinance.
No,
No.
accept the
Accept the
amended
same,
salary.
Except the new one.
the new one. Oh, that's the new one.
Yeah.
Same.
Can I get a second?
And I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Payday is this Friday, so I'll do you guys' checks when I do payroll. And they'll be in my office whenever you wanna, or I can mail them, however you want me to do it. You can individually text me and let me know how you want me to do your check.
One thing I was gonna bring up during visitors, we have a new business. I don't know if you, I know Lori made it, I don't know, did you make it up?
Yeah, I
or
made
something?
it up there, yeah.
We have a new business in town, for anybody that don't know. He's a new mechanic. He's not new, he's just bought Ernie's place up here on 27. Young kid and his wife, I think they're gonna do really well. And then there's another one that's in the process of, another business that's in the process of the same block that's trying to get up and going too, so. And we will, I just want to put that on there. So unfinished business, the ordinance for the ORVs.
I gave everybody a copy.
Jesse, you wanna read that for us? Or is it, it's basically the same as the county one?
That is the county one. I didn't know what you wanted.
Yeah, you're not gonna have to vote on that
Oh,
tonight, really,
okay.
because she didn't make one up for us, so.
I didn't know what you wanted yet.
That way you can all have time to take it home and read it and see if there's any changes you wanna make.
Yeah, if you guys can do that and shoot us an email or text message and we'll go from there if there's any changes you wanna do to it. Did I email this to everyone? I thought I did. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank
Be
you.
careful.
We've gotten this before too, haven't we? Of course, it's been 2
Well,
years.
Austin made one up and it was really, really long.
Okay, all right. All right.
But I thought when Aubrey emailed it to me, I thought I emailed it to everyone else, but
Yeah,
I don't remember if I did or not.
I don't remember.
I don't remember.
And since he couldn't remember, I
Yeah.
just printed one off for everybody.
That's fine.
So let's table that another month. Can I get a motion to table the ORV ordinance until next month and we'll revene or want to take a look
Make
at
a
it? see if
motion,
there's
we
any-
table that.
Second,
I will second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
Alright. The sump pump issues, we're not gonna touch on that. I was made aware of that, that's a big no-no by IDEM to put it into the actual sewer system. So, I think we'll just leave that alone. And move to department reports.
You wanna go first?
Sure.
You're shorter than mine.
Sure. For water, we had 3 turn-offs, 4 turn-ons. As I stated earlier, the 2 meters got put in at the plant. I think there's a little more tweaking that may have to be done with them. I've got to talk to the guy more. Something to put in the back of your mind for next year. Probably about to put a roof on the water plant next year. We're starting to do some shingles. I think we'll be good for another year. It's something to think about when you put in your budget. The other thing was I wanted to get going on making all the rest of the, we've got the meters to make the rest of them touch read. And along that line, I wanted to buy a drill press, because they're a pain in the rear to drill. You're always breaking bits. I shopped around. We don't want a real cheap one. We don't want a real expensive one. This kind of middle of the road. $499.99. It's a rock front rocker. It's a jet drill press. It's kind of the lower end of the commercial ones. And I want to see if we get approval to buy that.
That low, we don't need 3, do we?
Huh?
That low of money, we don't need 3.
If it's something that has to be voted on, that we're supposed, if it's possible to get 3 quotes, we're supposed to have 3 quotes. Unless it's not possible to get 3 quotes. But it has to be at least attempted.
Or
at least that's what
The thing
both
is, I
attorneys
looked
said.
online and did the pricing. To find something of this quality, and this is a benchtop model, they're just not out there. I've been to, went to Briscoe, and they can get this one, but it's a lot more money, and then we gotta pay shipping on top of it. I've been to Lowe's, I've been to Menards.
As long as you get me 2 more, even if they're outrageously more than that one,
I can
then
do
at
that.
least
Like
I
I said,
have.
I have been around and shopped around. I can get her 2 more. That's no problem.
Can we go ahead and
Vote for him to buy the cheapest quote that he obtains. Yes.
Can I get a motion for that?
Yeah, make a motion that you, what is it again, a drill press?
Drill press.
Drill press, you buy the cheapest drill press you can find, from middle of the road.
Right.
Second?
Go for it, Cecil.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Chase? Seriously?
Nothing. I don't have a stack of papers this time, don't worry. I know not many people watch these things, but I do want to put out there to thank the residents for the gesture with the sign deal. It's good to know that when I'm out there, it's appreciated, and, you know, I feel bad making racket at 2 in the morning or whatever time it is, but.
Well, with the new truck, you don't make near as much.
Yeah, I don't make near as much, but,
And I've gotten more phone calls in the past 3 months than I have in 4 years, so.
yeah, and I just want to put it out there, I appreciate that.
Positive ones, let's put it that way.
Right. I do appreciate it. It's nice to know that what I'm doing is, you know, it's like I said, I feel bad when it's 2 in the morning and I'm got the plow drop down the street, you know what I mean? And, so I just wanted to thank everybody for that and all the compliments too on top of that I get. It's, you know, sometimes it's underrated what both of us do really. So that was the first thing, that was all I had on that. I discharged 5 days for a total of 1,144,000 gallons. Again, we're waiting on the weather to cooperate to get the gravel and stuff done out there. I'm gonna call Andy tomorrow and see if we can at least kind of get started on it. The shed's been ordered already. If he can kind of get started, then I think the shed can get put out there soon. It's just been too muddy to do anything out there as far as dirt work goes. We had one day that was decent and I hauled some dirt out there to at least kind of level up where the shed's going. I kind of at least got it started anyway, so we're going in the right direction. Kerry volunteered to take his drone out there before we start the project and then after the project's completed, so you guys and anybody else can kind of know how it is now and then what it ends up being once we're done with it. So kind of figure if you guys, the residents, want to see that, that'd be something to do. See, you had 3 snow events, 2 ice events. I used about 5.5 tons of salt. All those. We talked about the potholes. There's a broken tree limb on Walnut. There's a live limb, and then there's a larger limb that's broken. It's laying on that one. I mean, is that something? I know we're having some winds coming up this week. I mean, is that something I need to get quotes on, because it has to be done, and we're not cutting down the whole tree? We just can't.
The school bus lady is the one that addressed us about it, because kids do load right there, and it is a big limb. It's a safety issue.
I'd say it's about 12 inches in diameter, you know, and it's just sitting on this other branch, so, I can't imagine it'd be a whole lot of money. But judging by what
While
Fox,
you're getting quotes on that, can you have them do quotes on whatever trees on East North Street need to be? That bus driver lady called and left a message on my answering machine about the trees on.
well, that's the one she's talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, is it the same
Yeah,
one?
yeah, it's right where Walnut turns into East North Street.
She called me the other day when I was
Yeah.
doing water test.
Okay.
But
I just know that it had been brought up a meeting or two ago, so.
Judging by like what Fox has charged for us to cut down entire trees in the past, I mean, those run around $700-800-ish is what they've charged before. So, I mean, I can't imagine it being, I would say more than $500, but I wouldn't imagine it'd be that. But it's a safety hazard, so I didn't know if that's something I can have them, it's too tricky for us to kind of get up there and try and deal with.
We do like the same thing we did for a drill bit,
Right.
can't we?
Yeah.
Just have them just pre-approve the best.
Attempt to get the quotes. I know that the tree places,
It's usually Fox, I mean, that's usually the best,
Yeah,
the
they're
best
the-
quotes you guys ever have.
Yeah, they're
We've seen
the
it before.
cheapest, and I don't know if I still have to go through the quote process, because it's kind of like, that dude could fall it could fall tonight,
Yeah.
you know, I mean,
Well, like we said on the drill press deal, just
attempt to
Just,
get through it.
yeah, just, but we'll go ahead and make a motion.
because I know with the tree places around here, several times that you've called them and they never show up to get quotes. So
Right.
at least make the phone calls, and if Fox is the only one that shows up, then.
I think safety vetoes the quotes in this case, but we'll still try to get them.
can I get a motion for Chase to do that?
Yeah, make a motion, you contact the people to get the branch cut down.
About a second.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Alright.
Okay, that was all the streets. So for the parks, I'm working on building a wooden sign to post the park hours that will be visible constantly, not just on the gate when the gate's closed. It'll be about 4 foot wide, and I think it'll be about 3.5, 4 foot tall, or whatever. It's painted the same green as the shelter is. But it'll hold that sign, the no alcoholic beverages prohibited. I was gonna call Clean and have them make a new one up. And all that stuff can be mounted on that sign, and it'll be visible constantly. My thought was to put it on the left-hand side of the driveway, kind of about right in front of that maple tree where that current little sign is. I've already got the material for it, waiting on the weather, breaking up to dig the holes and set the posts, all that kind of stuff, so.
I got stencils if you need to.
Oh, that was the other thing, I was just gonna mount those signs, you know, metal. We were talking about, or I thought anyway, do we wanna put Fountain City Park up at the top of it, or Fountain City Municipal Park, or, you know, I was gonna router it in and, you know, paint the letters inside, you know, but I wanted to see what you guys thought as far as putting something like that on there. If you preferred one name over the other, or however you wanted to, you know what I mean, like, we just put Fountain City Park on it, or, I figured that'd be a nice,
That's a little
kind
bit.
of little deal for it, so.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Okay. And me and Carrie have kind of been talking about the maintenance stuff on the vehicles, as far as oil changes. We're willing to help the police department as far as performing the oil changes and doing some kind of other, you know, rotating tires probably, and some of the maintenance stuff like that. Trying to do more of the stuff in-house. Something that we were kind of tossing around is maybe getting a 2-post lift for back of the garage there, where we can get the vehicle up off the ground, change the oil, that stuff. I know Kerry was gonna try and get the oil prices together, and he talked about just buying all the oil all at once, it's back there, so when the Charger and the Explorer need an oil change, he can bring it back there and we can get it done. For the water sewer and the dump truck, our oil cost is about $175 2 times a year, but that's not including any labor or anything like that, so, we thought in the long run it might be beneficial to do it that way. I did get some prices on some lifts. I don't know what anybody else thought about that.
The only thing on the police cars, I don't think you can do anything besides just
changing the oil.
All right,
Okay.
because it becomes a
Liability
liability.
issue, right, and that was.
If they
my
was end up
question.
pursuing, you know, a tire didn't
It
get,
falls off,
Yeah.
right. And we weren't gonna do like, we knew at least the brake thing
Right.
was a no-no, you know, that we wouldn't mess with that, but, I mean, even the oil changes, you know, they don't have to take them in anywhere, and we're willing to keep it in-house, and that saves the police department, you know, I don't know, $20 probably in labor every time they change the oil and everything, so, yeah, that's what I got on that. They run around, I got 3 different prices, the lifts with a stand oil drain deal that, you know, lifts up and goes around. See, the cheapest one I found was $1,934, and the most expensive one was $2,194. Free shipping, 24-month warranty, bolts to the floor, they all fit in the garage, you know, height-wise, so there's nothing crazy we end up having to do. Something to toss around anyway.
How's the budget look?
I don't, you know, what would that even come out of?
where, do you know where that, we can get that, or can we pull it from?
Technically, it's in the water building, right?
I mean, it is,
That
I
garage
mean, it's
is
for the.
all 3,
Right.
local road and street, water and sewer.
How big is that? How tall does the lift go?
But what they say, I know the posts are 115 inches tall,
Oh, okay.
so that would clear our. we
Yeah.
have 134 inches height-wise in the shop.
Gotcha.
To be able to, you know, go
Yeah.
up with, but even getting 3 foot off, 4 foot off the ground would help a lot.
We'd probably get a grant for that.
Can we get a grant for building a new barn and putting?
Any other discussion on that, or?
I think you might wanna think about that one.
Yeah, I
Until
mean,
we figure out
we
what
just wanted to-
department it's gonna come out of and how
Right.
we're gonna pay for it.
Can I get a motion?
A motion, we table this discussion about the lift until next time.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anything else?
That's all I got.
Michael?
As far as on with the police department, we had a total of 26 traffic stop ticket warnings. Had 1 misdemeanor arrest, 1 juvenile arrest. We got 5 new reports cases. Still got 5 active cases right now. Had 1 VIN check, had 3 lockouts. Had 1 medical, 5 business. We had 20 non-report cases, and then 7 agency assists. As of right now, our training's already started for the year. We completed the 2 hours of firearms and also the ethics training. That part of it's all done. This month, we're doing another firearm simulator, defensive tactics, emergency vehicle operations, all that scheduled for this month already, plus other state mandates. They're scheduled out also for the month of March. He's already started on our other state mandates and for April to get those taken care of. Yearly training, you know, it's still a little bit up in the air, mainly because of the Zerker program with the meetings going on with it, because it's all gonna tie into that. As far as with the meetings that the marshal's going to right now, he still has his monthly meetings with the Zerker, getting it up and going with county, and it's an ongoing monthly. They still have a projected date of September on getting that up and running. He has meetings this month again with DCS. As far as grants, donations, he's still pursuing any and all grants and donations. He's still, out there looking for everything. As far as anything needed at this time, no. As far as what he's still wanting to get, he's updating the office, he's getting rid of that big desk. He's already got 2 small desks. He's gonna do them one at a time. Still need a new printer station because we're removing that big monster that's in there, so we're gonna have a printer station for it. And I talked about it last month, and the price of it is $119.99, and then a new a filing cabinet. And that one there, he had priced it out still at $109.99. So, like I said, he's gonna do those one at a time. Sorry, talked to you about it last month, and he's in communication
200.
with Trina. He's almost got everything up and running. There's still a couple more programs that's still giving him fits that weren't maintained, but he's getting them maintained and getting them up and running. Everything switched over to him. And then he has more candidates that he's waiting on background checks and stuff like that to try and get the reserve status built back up.
Is that it?
That's it.
Can I get a approval of payments and claims? Can I get a motion for those?
Make a motion of the approval of payments and claims.
Second?
Second.
There you go.
All in favor?
Alright.
Can I get a motion for adjournment?
A motion we adjourn.
Second?
Me too.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.